Okay, so this is Mike Cuccinell with Long Island Fury Volleyball, and we're gonna give a presentation in lieu of our typical pre-tryout speech to cover as much information as we can, and certainly to alleviate some concerns, as well as answer as many questions as we can. So, in an effort to give you as much information up front as possible, please listen through this carefully, and hopefully it'll prove effective. So, we have our trial coming up this weekend, September 19th and 20th. The basics are the same as what we say every year, although this is our 20th year of existence. We remain a not-for-profit organization, true and through to the word. Our bottom line is the furthest thing from our primary concern. Your season for club volleyball is made up of training and competitions. For those of you who are new to it, it lasts approximately 6 months, which will be October through March. This year, we're bumping everything forward a month. All practices are scheduled to be at All-Star Arena, and will occur on Monday and Friday nights. The exact times for each team is unknown at this time because it's going to depend on numbers, coach availability, all that sort of thing. So until everything gets ironed out, the best we can do, which is far better than normal, and certainly better than most clubs, is tell you the days of the week that we will be and take it from there. So the main things I want to focus on within this presentation is how the season in fact can work, the tryout, selecting of the team, what is or is not included, the tournaments, the tuition, and certainly address the COVID concerns. So I want to be clear on something. This season can work because the crazy long acronym, New York State Public High School Athletic Association, doesn't govern club volleyball. All right, so there's a lot of misconceptions out there that sports were canceled. They weren't canceled. They were delayed. All right, whether you agree with it or not, whether you're part of the protest or not, I don't want to touch the politics of it, but they were delayed. So the high school sports are scheduled to begin in January. This has nothing to do with that. The governor has not shut down volleyball, contrary to what a lot of people are saying. All right, we're not governed by that, and as a private entity, USA Volleyball, and more specifically our region, GIVA, the Garden Empire Volleyball Association, only has to answer to whatever the state guidelines are from gatherings and whatnot. Moreover, the major tournaments, which in this case, for this season, will most likely be Spike Fest up in Rhode Island or Springfield, Massachusetts, depending on the age group. Hartford, the tournament we've been going to for years, and Boston, which all happen to be run by the same organization called JVC. They are taking some pretty significant precautions that I'm pretty impressed with, and we'll kind of touch on a couple of them down the road, but at the end of the presentation. But I could also forward you or share with you the email that I received from the tournament director, who's a great guy, that he was nice enough to share with me. So, moving on. Making the team. So, as you know, tryouts are going to be both Saturday and Sunday. You certainly increase your chances being able to attend both days. Tryouts are from 12 to 4, but not for everyone, meaning certain age groups are going to go at certain times. All right? So on the Fury website, longislandfury.com, there are specific times for age groups. We're asking you to please go to your grade-appropriate tryout for day one. All right? If we want you to join a different tryout, we'll let you know. Some people have been specifically invited to go to a different tryout. If you have not been specifically invited, I can't stress enough, please go to if you're a sophomore, go to the sophomore tryout. You'll be competing against your age group, so if you see some, monster senior, pounding a ball, don't feel like you have to be concerned about that. I will post results following the tryout. So the tryout's over Sunday. The coaches will talk for probably an hour or two and make sure that we're all getting every bit of information we need to construct our team. And I'll hopefully post by Sunday night on the teams page of the Fury website. There will be a signing meeting where we'll sign contracts and exchange checks and that sort of thing. But the truth is, we haven't set a date on that yet. So we're working on it. We're going to try to do as much of it virtually or digitally or whatever the right adverb is. Get out the information, whether by email or whatnot. So hopefully on the forms, and I don't think I wrote that down, but I can't stress enough. You have to show up with all 4 forms that are on the Fury website. And especially your email address. Please make sure that's written clearly. So if by the end of the tryout you don't think this is the right fit for you, and we're not the right fit for everyone, and that's okay, but if you don't feel as though it's not the right fit for you, please let us know. Don't put us in a position where we have to cut someone else, maybe even someone who's been a part of the club for a couple years, because they were the first person out. They were that, 13th or 14th player, and we had no choice but to cut them. And now you're not accepting our offer, and we could have avoided that whole emotional response. So please be upfront if you know it's not for you. Just shoot us an email. So there's going to be an online information form that is going to be posted after tryouts. And it's going to be, one of the things is going to say it's that I'm accepting your offer, but then you're going to go and you're going to give us your sizes and your contact information and all that stuff so we can get the gear going. And that's going to be real important, but I wanted to mention it now. All right, so that's that for the making the team. So what is included? So all your Fury gear, which is, close to $400 worth of gear. You have, obviously, the 6 months of training. Generally, that's bi-weekly. Things happen, though, whether it's snow or it's, we may not practice during holidays. So understand that it is generally bi-weekly practices. All your registrations, team registrations, that is, are included. The facility rental fees, which is a massive expense for us, is included. And, of course, your tournament entry fees, which range anywhere from, $250 to $750. So all that is included. Your tuitions are going to range from about $1,300 to now $2,900, which is less than what it says on the website as of the time that I'm recording this. We have payment plan options if you want to take advantage of them. The general one is 3 installments that you give us all 3 checks at the signing, and we tell you when to date them, and we deposit them on those dates. Or we can customize a payment plan for you as well. So we say we never want money to be a reason that kids don't play club volleyball, but we also understand this is a lot of money and it's a big commitment from the families, and sometimes that's just unavoidable, but we will work with you as best we can. And as long as we can stick with the plan, we can probably live with it on our end. So tuitions were just reduced, and I made mention of that before. We decided not to have the girls stay together in the hotels this year. This was a very, very, very tough decision, but given the circumstances, it was a necessary decision. So since those 3 rooms for each team are not going to be part of what we have to pay for, that essentially wound up being somewhere between a $350 and $400 reduction to everyone's tuition. So I'll iron out the exact numbers and get that up right away, but I imagine for most of you that's good news. Most clubs nowadays are doing that anyhow. I've tried to keep that in because I think it's a valuable piece to the club experience, but it's just not worth the risk this year. So, tournaments. So, for the first time, we're going to send our 15s, 16s, and 17s to 3 travel tournaments. Now, 17s have been going to 3. Um, and I think 16s just started going to 3 last year. So the plan is to send everyone to Hartford, Spikefest, and Boston. The dates are up. They are listed with a location as well. The Spikefest tournament is different for 15s, where it's in Springfield, Massachusetts, whereas it's in Providence, Rhode Island for 16s. The 14s, as of now, we're planning one major travel tournament, which is going to be Spikefest in Springfield. And for each of these, we're hoping to supplement somewhere in the ballpark of about 3 to 4 additional one-day competitions. Now, Jiva is being exceptionally non-committal in terms of how they're going to set up these local tournaments. They've suggested, some of them are suggesting not allowing parents in, whereas the major tournaments are still, but they'll be restricting. So we don't know exactly how Jiva is going to do it. And we're nervous about that because, here we are about to start the season, and I believe you have every right to every bit of up-to-date information. But the truth is, they haven't made a decision. So in the event that something gets a little wacky, and while I don't anticipate this happening at all, they decided not to run competitions, we're in dialogue and conversation with other local clubs where we will have a way to create small tournaments and make that happen. So not the first choice option, but it is an option, and we want you to feel a little bit more at peace with that. So practice time versus playing time. Please just always understand your practice time is guaranteed. Your playing time is at the discretion of the coach. And listen, my advice to all of our coaches is always, look, if you're in it and you have a chance of winning this thing, then you got to go with, who can get the job done. And at the flip side, if you're not in this, then I hope you're spending a little bit more time trying to equal out the playing time. But in the end, it's at the discretion of the coach. And if you're going to be one of those parents who is counting the number of points that your daughter is in a game, this probably isn't the right club for you. All right? So, we'll do everything. All of the coaches do everything in their power to maximize playing time for everyone. I don't have a coach on our staff that doesn't do that. But that doesn't mean equal. All right? So, if you're looking for that, again, there's other less competitive clubs that might be a better fit for you. All right, finally, the COVID situation. Obviously, I mean that as it directly pertains to club volleyball and our Fury season. So just as just as All-Star did during our camps, they will still be temperature checking the girls as they arrive to All-Star for practices. We will continue as we did during camp to make every effort to maximize the social distancing during drills. Large tournaments, and I mentioned this before, are going to have less courts in their giant convention centers, so they'll be increase the spacing. They may or may not be restricting the number of parents who are allowed to accompany the girls. We've been told at bare minimum it would be at least one per player, but it might not be restricted at all because there's less courts, and that's kind of up in the air right now. In terms of the, something we've been keeping an eye on is, those states that require you to quarantine once you return from those states. Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts are not states that are listed as such, which certainly contributed to our selection of travel tournaments. So we're taking a look at that as well. And we mentioned before about how we've decided, somewhat reluctantly, but we've decided to not allow the girls to stay four in a room, but instead require them to stay in their parents' rooms. Um, just as another step to, keeping the safety as high of a priority as possible. There is talk about the smaller tournaments restricting fans. I don't know if it's going to happen definitely or not, but the guy who runs Sport Time, who's a great guy, is saying, look, if I'm only allowed a certain number of people in my facility, I want them to be players, not to be fans. So there's a chance that might be, more present than it ever has been before. So we'll keep an eye on that, and of course, do our best to communicate this sort of tough stuff to you. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is, should a shutdown occur? Now, obviously, no one wants this because that means we're in trouble and a lot of people's health is in danger. But should it happen, we will be pre-calculating, not that that's a word, but I think you know what I mean, pre-calculating payouts. So we'll look at your unused tuition balances, and that's what's going to come out. So understand that the two major pieces that will come out right away are the Fury gear, which again is substantial, but of course you'll get that gear, and whatever we have paid so far to All Star for their facility. Now, they've claimed that they will refund us whatever portion is involved in the shutdown, and I have no reason not to trust them. So whatever money we got back and or did not pay, of course, comes back to you. If there's tournament registration fees that we've already paid, as long as we get it back, it's coming back to you. So as I said last year, and Don and I meant it true and through, the last thing we want to do is, profit off of the misfortune of others and the health risks of others, and we won't do that. So you will get some portion of this back, and we will get you as much as we can. So that's that. All right, that's pretty much everything that I think is relevant for this upcoming tryout. I hope that answered most all of your questions. Feel free to listen to it more than once if you'd like. I hope to see all the girls ready to go on Saturday, and I hope everyone's off to a good start to their school year, is staying healthy, being smart. Please arrive to the All-Star venue wearing a mask. Notice in one of the documents, it is asking that you declare whether or not you want your daughter to try out in a mask or not. We believe that's your decision to make, not ours. And good luck to all the girls. All right, so I'm looking forward to what will, I'm sure, be a great tryout, and we'll see you there. All right, thank you so much for listening.